emergencies that can happen and how they can be resolved.
All right.
So oftentimes, everything's running smoothly, and then all of a sudden there's this last second curveball and everybody goes ballistic.
Yes.
So one thing that is often caused is settlement figures aren't in. Something came up with the lender. There was a delay with one title company getting another title company figures. So that type of stuff needs to be followed up on really closely towards the end of the transaction to make sure that all of a sudden you're not getting a last second number that you've now got to race to the bank and go get the cashier's check for and that type of thing. So lender delays and title, not typically title company, but they're waiting on, it all stops there. So that's a delay that often happens. Unfinished business. This one happens all the time. In Missouri, everybody is moving in and moving out on the same day. And that's really hard to orchestrate when nothing runs on time. And what we find happens is a lot of times you're supposed to close and have possession by, let's say, 3 o'clock. The buyers are pulling up with their moving truck sitting there waiting, and the sellers are still in the house. What do you do?
Right.
I mean, you can't physically drag them and their stuff out. I mean, I guess you could. They'd probably be happy for you to do that at that point in time. But that's a delay that happens often, and it causes a lot of mayhem. But it's something that we warn people up front that these are times that we're striving for, and contractually they're supposed to give you the keys and possession of the house. But your only remedy really is call the police and say you're trespassing in their home that they owned until an hour ago. It doesn't work. So you just have to be flexible and know that it's not going to run smooth, and you're going to have some bumps, and then grab your realtor to help you grab some boxes or something like that.
A lot of people move the day that they close on the house?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
Because,
happened to me once.
Yeah. Because the risk is you pack up your whole house and the trucks, and then something happens at closing day and it doesn't close. So
Well,
a lot of people,
and they got to
they're
go
moving
somewhere.
from one house to another house. It's extra money to store the stuff on the
Right.
trucks overnight. Incomplete repairs are another biggie. So you do a walkthrough up to 4 days prior to closing, and then nothing was repaired correctly according to your building inspection, or the homeowner did some repairs themselves, and then everybody's up in arms. So you're better off to do your walkthrough a few days in advance instead of the night before or the morning of closing, because you need time to deal with these type of things. Another thing is undisclosed property details. So you pick that carpet up when you go to move, and underneath it the wood floors are all discolored.
Oh, yeah.
Or there's a huge stain in the carpet that was covered by furniture.
Yeah.
So that type of stuff pops up at closing all the time, and then everybody's up in arms and who's going to pay for it.
Right.
MIA stuff. Oftentimes, garage shelving, basement shelving, washers and dryers, a refrigerator, things like that was not spelled out 100% in the contract is an assumption that's made by somebody because they think these shelves in the garage are attached, when in actuality they weren't.
They were just hanging there.
They were hanging
like
there.
a picture.
So, you don't know till you show up to move in, because
Right.
that's the last thing they load on the truck and they take off. And garage door openers, little things, those are a big deal to people. Like, it's $25. But I had somebody one time threatened they were going to call Action 2 News because the seller had on the seller's disclosure that they had 2 remotes and there was only one in the house. And if we didn't produce a remote the next hour, they were calling Action 2.
You tell them to call Action 2 News. Where was Action 2 News?
It was a long time ago. I'm kind of dating myself. And then a big one is like last minute hailstorms or a tree falls or those type of things, and that causes havoc for all of us.
I've seen people sitting on the stoop saying, "What are you doing? Waiting for my loan to get funded." I've seen that too.
Well, yeah, that's another thing that you bring up, because closing is defined as when the deed, and there's all kinds of interpretation in the real estate field of when closing is, but it's really when the deed is exchanged for money. And so what happens is that people go and they do their closing, sign all the paperwork, but the funds haven't transferred yet. So they're getting wire transferred. They got to hit the Fed, and if they don't get sent by a certain time of day, you've missed it for that day.
Right.
So then it's not going to hit the other person's bank account until tomorrow. And if that's on a Friday, then you've got people going, you're not moving into my house because I don't have your money.
Yeah. And then you really call Action 2 News when that happens.
You really call Action 2.
314-276-SOLD. That's why you call Kathy Helbig, to avoid all of those nightmares. 314-276-SOLD or the group, KathyHelbigGroup.com. Good stuff.
Thank you.
8 Fuss. Check that.